Well, SABC News Economics Editor Tshepo Mongoai joins us now to discuss the future new Eskom chair Mtheto Nyathi will carve out for the parastatal and where to from here for the utility. Tshepo, good evening to you and welcome. So I'd love to hear your thoughts now. I mean, he's obviously been on the board before, but he's now in the hot seat. How do you see this playing out?
Well, I think it's a good thing. Someone who's quite versed, he understands the issues within the parastatal. He comes with a wealth of experience from the private sector. But the issue is, or the question is, whether he would be able to make a meaningful impact in terms of its influence and also be able to deal with the magnitude of the problem that Eskom is facing, because it looks like they are quite varied in their nature.
Yeah, I mean, multiple conflicts converging, needing decision-making at a time of high intensity for Eskom. And you'll recall, before the appointment of the previous board, there wasn't a board there, a properly constituted board for over 13 years. So having somebody who has been in the board, as you say, more au fait and understanding of the issues that Eskom has been facing, is more than likely to bring that continued stability. However, there are some tensions in the water based on how his interview with the Weekend Press went last year, where it came to a point around BEE and transformation. The board had to answer to Scopa and to Parliament about whether or not he was advocating for doing away with BEE legislation and transformation. A year later, how do you see that perspective playing out in the role that he has now been entrusted with?
Well, I know there was a big noise about his commentary that BEE was actually hampering the performance of the utility. And whether that's wrong or right, I mean, only time will tell. But the reality is we missed an opportunity to delve into the issue and ask how so. Instead, he came under tons of attacks and for those commentary without really trying to get to understand what are the real issue, where are these shortcomings, if there are, when it comes to black economic empowerment. I mean, the way issues around, for example, recently with the exemption of PFMA, and that also, instead of really trying to understand with the merits of that issue, we've seen all sorts of accusations that were made against that move. The reality is, often as South Africans, we don't want to understand the nature of the problem. As long as we don't like what is being proposed, we will make sure that whoever comes with it must be reduced and eventually be quiet, and then we want to deal with issues the only way we think we should, but sidelining certain issues that are part of the problem, and we deliberately choose to ignore certain issues at play as part of that particular problem.
I mean, to go back to what the Eskom board told Parliament last year, that the comments that he had made were misrepresented. In fact, those critics who are experts in the space have described him as a champion, actually, for transformation and a trailblazer. But you have the political party, the EFF, last year coming out quite strongly, condemning him, saying that it condemns the contemptible, misdirected and nonsensical remarks made by him to save Eskom. We must do away with localization, black empowerment and affirmative action. As you're saying, there's a great deal of nuance here, and we have to kind of take a step back and understand things a little more in-depthly to form a full picture. So given that all of this is in the background and he is the chief decision maker in a sense, leading that board, what are some of the things, Tshepo, he's going to have to take care of immediately?
I just want to make an example, for example, for now, is there are instances, especially when it comes to Eskom, who such a big company is with a lot of suppliers from all over the world. You have instances where you have a global supplier, situated in another country, and you can only procure that particular service from that supplier. And we've seen during BRICS, some of the Chinese businesses were saying, you need to deal with BEE. We cannot invest here because we don't agree with this BEE legislation. Either you change it or we don't. But as I speak to you now, there are ways of circumventing it where you find that whether it's right or wrong, you have to go and negotiate with that particular supplier, because otherwise you won't have any business and you buy that service. Some of the global suppliers, they will tell you, we don't want to merge with any local BEE partners. That's not our business model. That's not what we are going to do. Of course, this is just one aspect of BEE. BEE is quite broad. But the reality is, until we delve into what are the shortcomings that are affecting our state-owned enterprises when it comes to BEE, and we choose to locate the problems elsewhere and ignore some of them, we may not be able to address the problem.
Tshepo, am I hearing you correctly? I mean, are you advocating a corridor of exceptions in the context where you have a deeply troubled SOE like Eskom?
No, absolutely not. But the reality is, if, for example, when it comes to procuring certain products or certain services, for example, Sanral at the moment, Sanral, they are on a major global infrastructure development where we don't have certain capacity locally in South Africa. So they will have to look for contractors of a certain level outside the country, and they bring them in. The issue is, where does that put BEE? Surely you'd find that some of those suppliers do not comply with BEE. So there is a way that we need to look at it. The delays perhaps that are also we encounter because a certain supplier must come look for a BEE partner. We have Power now. Look at the problems that they are facing. It has to do with the BEE deal that they've entered into, and that is holding back the process.
This is, again, a topic we have to peel back the layers on over a series of interviews, I suspect. Tshepo, thank you very much for weighing in on this appointment, and we'll certainly, as you said in your first answer, see how matters unfold.